I opened the door and everything changed. The light was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. It felt surreal, like it was communicating with me in some way. Up until then, everything that had happened to me had happened by accident. But after that first couple of experiences, I started to wonder, could I do this on purpose? Could I get back into that space? And I became obsessed with that idea. And I didn't really have any means of looking into it further at that point. There was no internet around really, and I didn't even know what had happened myself. So going seeking out knowledge on how to do it was something that I didn't know where to start. But back then I used to go to a little spiritual bookshop that was in Southampton in city centre called Stella Gateway. It was a small little shop, and you went in there, and every time you went in there it smelled of incense, and they had a little rows of bookshelves that sold all sorts of different spiritual books on various subjects. And this particular day I'm in there and I'm just browsing around having a look, and I come across this magazine and I'm just sort of thumbing through it. It's called Kindred Spirit, and I come across this article by Stephen LeBurge, and it was about lucid dreaming. And I thought, it was just sort of, as I was reading it, there was just this moment of recognition. I kind of thought, that sounds exactly like what just happened to me. And at the end of the article it cited a book that he'd written called Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming, and I thought, I'm going to order that straight away. So I asked the guy in the bookshop if he could get me a copy, and he ordered one in, and a short while later I got it, and I went in and bought it, and I got it home and I just sort of lapped it up. I was reading it, and all the stuff in there was relating to different techniques that you could do to induce the experience. It had been studied at Stanford University in America, so a big university in America. A lot of the techniques that were in there, they were related to turning on he called your critical faculty, where you would look out for things in the dream that were slightly off. Because strange things happen in dreams all the time, but we haven't got the awareness about us to recognise them, and it's looking for those little things within the dream that will trigger to make you think, I'm dreaming. And that was that, alongside other things like reality checking, because no one really checks throughout the day if they're dreaming. Anyway, so I'm focusing on looking for these things he calls dream signs, little things that are out in my reality. And one morning I get up and everything's normal. I just sort of get dressed and I go out of my bedroom, I walk down the stairs, across the hall. I'm just about to go out the door, and something just pauses me in my tracks for a moment, and I look, and the door latch is just slightly different to how it was in reality, and that's when it hit me. I was dreaming. And in that moment I became fully aware, and everything became bright and intense and vibrant in colour. And with that I just grabbed the latch, and as I pulled the door open, there was just this flood of heavenly white light, the brightest light I'd ever seen. It was so bright but it didn't dazzle, and I was pulled into the air, and I was suspended about 3 foot in the air with my arms out by my sides, and I was just calling out into the light, I'm dreaming, dreaming, dreaming. Then started to feel my physical mouth still actually mumbling those words, and then I was sort of pulled back to my body, and I just woke up still mumbling those words, I'm dreaming like that. And I just remember that sense of, I've done it, I've achieved it, I've done it, I've actually got back in there. And then I knew that it could be done. I knew that it could be done of my own free will. So by then, now, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with the idea of being able to go back in there and seeing where I can take this. That was really like the moment for me when I thought, I've got this now, I've got this. After that, the experiences started to come thick and fast. That was like I'd had a key to a lock. That door that started off just ajar And now it had been blown wide open